The first thing we need to do is just see our worth. That is to say, you need to see your worth. I need to see my worth. Now, what we're talking about is rejection. One of the things people with autism have faced from the very beginning is constant rejection because there is this thing that I call the neurotypical hive mind. It's kind of like a beehive where all the bees seem to be going in different direction, but somehow they're working in harmony, concerted harmony. It's very strange. They go different directions, but they're working together. That is the neurotypical hive mind. But those of us with autism, we don't belong there. We belong somewhere else. Now, we may try to be a part of the hive mind, but we find that we are rejected. Then we feel dejected because we are rejected. And so I have here 7 or 8 things, probably go to 8 things that we need to do, keep in mind to deal with rejection. And the first thing is we need to understand that we do have worth. We do have value. Worth isn't based upon the approval of people who live in the hive mind. Worth is based upon our worth. We can't wait for other people, that is to say, neurotypical people, to validate us because they never will. It's not going to happen. Okay, there may be some people who love us, who care about us, who will encourage us and help us along our way. But by and large, we need to understand that we can't wait until the bees of the hive mind, the people in the hive mind, the neurotypical people say, this guy needs some help, let's help him out. Well, first of all, a lot of us don't really need that help. I mean, I know there are some people with autism who do need support, but we are self-functioning, we're totally okay, we don't need help from others. It helps if we have help, but we need to understand that help is probably not coming, at least. It's not coming in spades. If anything, it's going to come by a few handful of individuals who have a deep sense of empathy, and that's not very many people in the hive mind. So we need to understand that we have worth, and it's something that we need to see for ourselves, not something that we get from the hive mind. It's not based on approval. I'm repeating myself, but our worth is not based upon their approval. We have value because we're valuable. Number 2 is this. We need to discard entitlement. Now, this works in harmony with number 1. We think that worth and entitlement are one and the same thing, that we are entitled to be accepted. Well, the fact of the matter is, no, we're not entitled to be accepted. Nobody is. Neurotypical people are not entitled to be accepted. Fact of the matter is, what are humans entitled to? Not a whole lot. Entitled to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, maybe. But beyond that, we're not entitled to an income. We're not entitled to a job. We're not entitled to approval by the hive mind. We're not entitled to any of those things. We need to understand that thinking that we are entitled is a setback. We need to discard that sense of entitlement. Number 3 is we need to just simply think. Now, when I say think, I'm saying we need to engage our cognitive mind, not our emotional mind. Now, let's say you get a job. Congratulations. Then let's say that it's time for somebody to be promoted, and somebody that you know is not as qualified as you gets the promotion instead of you. Now you feel rejected. You feel like that you have been pushed aside. Well, guess what? You have been. But were you really entitled to that promotion? Well, the other guy certainly wasn't, but yeah, we get that. But were you entitled to it? Maybe there's somebody else that would come along later even more qualified than me or you. So we need to stop and think rationally with our cognition, not with our emotion, that this thing is really bothering me, but that's part of life, and we're going to explain that a little more of why that is valuable in just a moment. But we need to ask, why am I bothered? Do I have certain insecurities that need to be dealt with? Do I have a sense of arrogance or maybe narcissism that needs to be contended with? And so sometimes those bypasses, those snubs, those what do you call them, shirks, those rejections, are indicators that we have a problem in our life that needs to be dealt with. Now, I can recall when years ago I tried out for a singing group, and some other guy got my spot. At first, I didn't understand it because he was good, but he wasn't that good. And I wondered, why did they do that? Maybe they liked his presence better. Maybe there was something about him that he had that I didn't have. But still, it bothered me immensely that I didn't get that spot. Well, later on, I realized that he had a brother who was friends with the people who made the decisions, and his brother assured that he got that spot, not me. What happened? Well, I was passed over. That was not fair. That was not justice. That was intentional rejection. That was flat out wrong. And my take on that was to react with a little bit of bitterness, a little bit of anger, a little bit of frustration, but then I stopped to think about it. Was I really entitled to that slot? I mean, it would have been nice to have it, I got to tell you, but was I really entitled to it? And then I had to ask myself, does my life depend? Does my future depend? Does my livelihood depend on that simple decision, that setback, that bend in the road? And the answer is no. There are other opportunities out there. The fact that I was rejected wasn't the end. Again, we'll talk about that some more in just a moment. Number 4 is be defined by reality. Now, let's rehearse what we said earlier. Don't let the hive mind define you. Don't let your worth be based upon the opinion or the approval of the hive mind, because that's not what you are. If you are an autistic person, you are not neurotypical, therefore you're not a part of it. That's not a bad thing. That's not a good thing. It's just a thing. That's a reality. And what we need to do is make sure that we're not defined by anything other than reality, because we, those of us who are autistic, have a place in this world. It just happens that the place is not there. Everyone has a place because we're all occupying a place. So I don't know where your place is. I mean, geographically, where is your place? Are you in China? Are you in Europe? Are you in the USA? Are you in South America? You have a place, and you're not entitled to be in every place all the time, are you? No, of course not. That's silly to even think that way. So don't be frustrated because you're not in their place. I'm in the USA. I'm not in Europe. I'm not in China. So who cares? That's not my place. The hive mind is not my place. I'm over here. This is my country, so to speak. This is my nation. This is my family. This is who I am. This is my identity, and I'm not going to feel rejected because I'm here. In fact, I'm going to embrace where I am and be grateful for where I am. Number 5 is this: stay in your lane. By that, I simply mean when we are rejected, granted, a lot of times it's not fair. A lot of times it is just flat out wrong, immoral, unethical for us to be rejected, but we need to be careful not to lash out. Stay in your lane. That's kind of like what we were saying. Don't engage your emotion, but engage your cognition. Think rationally. But don't lash out. Stay in your lane. And when I say stay in your lane, what I'm thinking is let the bad guys make their mistakes, I recall when I was in my 20s, I had a brand new job that lasted for all of 2 weeks because the manager of the store didn't like me. Okay, so talk about rejection. I got rejected. But I let the bad guys make the mistakes. I mean, it was their loss. Is that arrogance? Is that narcissistic? No, it's just matter of fact, it was their loss. I was a good worker. I would have made a good member of their management team, but you know what I did? Eventually, I just hired myself, and I reaped the benefits of what I had to offer, not them. They were the losers. So keep this in mind. Make this kind of a motto, if you would. When people reject you, it's their loss, not yours. Now, you may also lose something, but there's something else coming along. you don't see it coming. Sometimes we need to go out there and look for it. Sometimes we need to go out there and get it. We can't, again, this is going back to entitlement, but we can't just sit around and assume the world is going to show up on our doorstep and everything is going to be peaches and cream just because we deserve it, just because we are entitled to it. That's not the way the world works. Number 6 is assume a survivor and a conqueror mindset. Now, you have been rejected, right? I've been rejected. Guess what? Everybody's been rejected at some point of another. The most popular, successful person on the planet has been rejected. I didn't actually watch it, but I saw the title of a video because I like to watch crime videos, and I was looking at a video on YouTube, and I think I'm going to watch it later, but it's one of these real-life crime stories, and the story was, I think it was a chiropractor who killed another chiropractor, murdered him. Yeah, a chiropractor. Come on, the guy has got it made. He's got money, he's got a good family, he has all these things, but he felt rejected. And so what happened is, instead of seeing himself as a survivor, as a conqueror, I mean, the guy was making good money. Not now, he's in a prison somewhere, but he was making good money. And instead of focusing on his moments of survival, what's more, his moments of conquering, of winning, his mind was obsessed with the fact that he was overlooked, the fact that he was rejected, the fact that he was, and all these things are real. You know, we're not being dismissive. Sometimes we are extremely rejected, treated very unfairly. But we also have those moments when we've survived. Well, there you are, so you're a survivor. There have also been those times when we have been the winner, we have been the conqueror. What we need to do is we need to focus on the wins, not on the losses. Something about a brain. We focus on the losses. If you drive from here to there, I don't care where you're going in a city, sometimes you're going to get green lights, and sometimes you're going to get stoplights. That's the way life works. Sometimes you get green lights, sometimes you get stoplights. And what's really frustrating is when there's some guy standing on the sidewalk with a remote control and he controls the stoplight. Okay, that's not reality, but that's the way it seems. Seems like somebody is intentionally, willfully giving us the stoplight. We need sometimes the green light. But human nature is, we get frustrated when we get a stoplight, particularly when we're late or we're in a hurry somewhere. But when we get the green light, we don't even think about it. What we need to do is go back and think about those times when we won. That's why I've talked so many times in other videos about journaling, about those moments when somebody was kind to us, about those moments when we did get the promotion, about those moments when we were just happy, maybe out in the woods somewhere, maybe out in nature, and you just enjoyed yourself. We need to focus, be mindful, have that conqueror mindset that life is not just a string of red lights. But that's the way we think of it. Life is not just an ongoing chain of rejection and nothing else. But if we let our mind think emotionally instead of cognitively, that's the mindset we're going to get. So assume the mindset of a survivor and then as a conqueror, as a winner. Number 7, this one's going to take some explaining, but you got to leave the nest, you know? I thought about this many years ago. I was wondering why it was that teenagers seem to be so problematic. Go to any generation throughout human history, and teenagers have been a pain. Why is that? I'll tell you why it is. I think nature has put something in the minds of teenagers that makes them act a little bit rebellious. So the mom and dad will get irritated with them, so they'll kick them out of the nest. Stop and think about it. How many times when you were a kid, okay, my parents didn't do this, but a lot of teenagers, you know, dad will say, you know, I give you a roof over your head. If you don't like it, I'll kick you out the door. Because, you know, Junior is not being what his parents expect him to be. but he is being what nature made him to be. Teenagers tend to be rebellious, and I think the reason for that is that nature wants them to get out of the nest, to make it on their own. Same thing with a bird, you know. Little baby birds, aren't they cute? Little chicks, well, guess what? They start growing up, the nest gets crowded, and mama bird who used to feed them and protect them is saying, hey, I'm not putting up with this anymore. These birds are a pain. And those cute little chicks, you know, all of a sudden they find themselves being booted out of the nest, and they have a tough time flying, learning to fly. But eventually, hey, they make it. So this is the message I have for people with autism. Leave the nest. You know, don't just stay there and expect that everything is going to be for you from others all the time. Or look, let's use another analogy. Let's say that you face a rejection. Maybe it's time to make a turn. Maybe it's time to go a different direction. Maybe that's nature telling you you're in the wrong nest, time to go somewhere else. But that's not the end, though. So if you're taking a trip down a road and you come to a bend, what do? Come to a curve in the road. What does the sign say? Does it say, warning, sharp turn ahead? Or does it say dead end? Guess what? There's only one dead end in life, and that's when you're old and you can't live anymore. And you may, older than me, I'm in my 70s. I mean, hopefully you make it to 120. That's where the end of the road sign is. But everything until then, no, there are no dead ends. There are just road signs that say curve ahead. Sometimes the sign's not there and the curve is a surprise, but it's still just a curve. It's not the end of the road. So think of rejection as a bend in the road, a curve in the road. It's not the dead end. But it is an indicator that you're going to change directions or you're going to go in the ditch. And that's part of life. And, you know, that's kind of what makes life interesting and makes life exciting. So I guess what I'm saying is number 8 is look at setbacks as opportunities for comebacks. And don't think this is something that is unique to those of us with autism. Granted, we seem to face it a lot more than others. And those who are not autistic, they seem to sometimes, I hate to say it, but some of them seem to enjoy rejecting us. In fact, I'm sure they do. But that's life, you know. This is the hand that's been dealt us, so to speak. Let's don't get up and leave the table, but let's say, hey, I got a bad hand. I'm going to show them how to play. I'm going to show me that I can take this bad hand in life. And I'm not saying that autism is a bad hand, but that may be how other people treat us. And we say, okay, you think I got a bad hand? Let me show you how to play this thing. And get her done. If you like this video, got something good out of it, got something beneficial out of it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up, give this video a thumbs up if you think it deserves it. Leave a comment so we'll know what your thoughts are. Join the conversation with others. And if you share this on social media, I say that all the time, but you're going to be surprised how much that really helps. And we'll see you all next time.